Hello. Okay. Well, we are here in Lebanon, Tennessee. I was supposed to start this on Monday with you guys, but it was a bit chaotic. I'm getting packed and loaded because we had to leave early in the morning on Tuesday. So we're in Lebanon, Tennessee for a dog show. We've got the big Dogo Argentino specialty with 2 designated specialties. And there's also a Shiba specialty, so good fun. Okay, so we read the introduction for this book, Zip It, and so now we're gonna start on week 1. Like I said, I was supposed to start this on Monday because you have 5 days for each week that you read. So we're just gonna read from here through Sunday, and then we'll pick back up on Monday. Okay, so we're in week 1, and we're starting off with the power of our words. A matter of life and death. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. Proverb 18:21. I have learned something in my decades of relationships on this earth. Words are powerful, and they have consequences. Words have always set events into motion. Often, what we have read about in our history books or experienced in our own lives came about because of someone's speech. Combative words have sparked wars, bringing about death and destruction. Soothing words have calmed souls, quieted hearts, and prevented potentially volatile situations from escalating and producing dire consequences. Encouraging words have imparted bravery and empowered doubting souls to accomplish what they never dreamed they could. Loving words have birthed relationships and bonded soulmates. Can you think back on your own life and find evidence of the power of and lasting impact of words someone said either to you or about you? I know I can. These phrases echo in the chambers of my mind and recall for me either pain and sorrow or love and inspiration. When a neighborhood mom told my mother I was a bossy child who acts like the mother hen of the subdivision, it hurt my heart. It made me think from an early age that my large and in-charge personality was a detriment and that no one really liked me. They were just tolerating me. So I longed instead to be a quiet as a mouse little girl like Patty, a girl who lived behind me. But try as I might, I couldn't be meek and mild, let alone quiet. When I was in college, a campus instructor made a comment to my face about my weight. At that time, I was about 10 pounds over my doctor's recommended weight for my height and age. I allowed her words to cling to my consciousness. And I wrongly surmised that any rejection I ever felt was because of my weight. If a guy dumped me, it was because I was fat. If I didn't get invited to an afternoon of shopping at the mall with girls in my dorm, it was because they didn't want to be seen with a heavy girl. Sometimes I even combined both of the hurtful phrases from my past, attributing rejection to the notion that I must be one bossy, obese gal. But thankfully, although a little less often, words have been spoken to me or about me that have lifted my spirits and from which I could draw strength, sometimes even decades later. My 7th grade teacher wrote on my progress reports, Karen is an excellent writer, especially with poetry. Later, one of my college professors told a colleague how much I would be missed when I graduated because I took my jobs as resident assistant, sports editor of the school paper, and director of campus's social life activities very seriously. Yet another voice from my past echoes still to this day. As I discussed my uncertain future with a church staff member I knew in high school one day, she told me, "You will go far. I believe in you." Yes, words are powerful and they have consequences. The consequences may be stellar or sorrowful. They may be amazing or awful. They may make an impact on lives for the better or affect souls for the worse. Proverbs goes so far as to assert that death and life are in the power of the tongue. As we begin this 40-day journey together, we have a choice. We can use our speech, both spoken and written, for good or for evil. Our words can bring life-giving refreshment or deal a death blow. Words can be warmth or a weapon. How we wield them will affect not only our relationships with others, but our relationship with God. Let's vow to learn all we can in these 40 days to align our words with God's holy word. Are you ready to begin? Your speech can help to change someone's world for the better, writing a story of peace and joy. Today's takeaways. Words are like super glue. Remember the old childhood chorus, "Sticks and stones may break bones, but words can never hurt me"? What a lie. We may have felt a tad better responding to our playground enemies with this chant, but we knew better. The truth is that bruises fade and bones eventually heal, but a scorched heart may take years to heal. Words stick, and not just sort of stick. Like the creamy white school glue we used in the 3rd grade, they are more like super glue, nearly permanent and painful to peel off. This week, think about the truth that words stick. Before you lash out at someone in anger or leak a little sarcasm from your lips, remind yourself that your words have not only power for good or evil, but they also have staying power. We have a choice. Choose wisely. Be choosy. Don't let words tumble off your tongue haphazardly or flippantly. Select your speech shrewdly. Craft your emails, texts, and social media posts and comments with care. A moment of cautious thought now can save boatloads of misunderstanding and pain later. Be conscientious, not careless. Impart life. Don't dole out death. Think back, lesson for the lips. Think back over your life. Does a phrase either spoken directly to you or said about you still echo in your mind today? Perhaps it was encouraging and brought life. Or maybe it was critical, caustic, or cutting, and has stuck with you over the years, leaving an ache in your heart or pain in your soul. What words have stuck with you over the years? How does thinking about their lasting impact shape your perspective on how you use your words with others today? A prayer for today. Father, your word tells us words are powerful and they have consequences. Make this truth stay close to me this week. As I use my words to interact with others, I want to speak life into my relationships and not utter words that bring about death. May my speech glorify you today. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. So, I think it's interesting. She points out that because someone commented on her weight one time, she may have heard it more than once, but she gives the example that somebody commented on her weight. She says, I wrongly attributed rejection from, whether it was a guy she was interested or something, to being because she was heavy. I think very often we all experience things like that, where, maybe somebody said something to us, and maybe they didn't necessarily mean it in a bad way, they just didn't articulate it in a way that that got the point across the way they wanted it to. And so it may affect us. There may be some negative consequences to that where we feel kind of hurt by it. And that lingers with us, that stays with us. And then because that pain is there, right? Somebody else says something and they don't know that pain's there. They don't even mean anything by what they're saying, or maybe they're just like, in this example that she gives about being rejected romantically, she's saying, well, they rejected me because I'm heavy. Or maybe they rejected you because they're just not in the right space to be in a relationship. Maybe they rejected you because you're blonde and they prefer brunettes. Maybe they rejected you because they're already in a relationship. There could be a number of reasons that somebody doesn't want to be in a relationship with you. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? You're allowed to have preferences in your intimate relationships. But how many times do we go, well, they don't want to be with me because insert. And I think we see that a lot in this day and age of, well, you can't, if you don't want to date me, it's because you're something phobic, something ism, or I just don't want to date you. And I'm allowed to say that. I'm allowed to have that opinion, right? You don't get to tell me I have to date you, we're allowed to have those preferences, but because we have hurt, right? Because we're holding on to that hurt, we are taking offense to others, and it can impact our relationships, right? That's the ultimate point, is that it can impact our relationships. We might be able to be really good friends with people. Our world is so divided now because, people have all these identities of this and that, and I'm a this, I'm a that. That classifies them in ways, and if somebody thinks differently than you, that's a problem. Because we're holding on to some hurt from maybe something that somebody said to us previously. We're holding on to it, and we're attributing our negative feelings to another person who maybe doesn't have a negative opinion or an opinion at all. So I think that it's important that we look back on what maybe people have said to us that has caused us pain, that we're holding on to. And then, let's focus on our words this week and make sure that we are not using our words in a way that are maybe hurtful. I feel like what I read here kind of follows the try to not offend, but try even harder to not be offended rule. Let's try to heal the hurt that we've had, but also not dole out hurt with our own words. Let's think about what we're saying to people. Let's use our words correctly. This is why language matters. You can't just change the definition of a word because you think that it no longer is applicable to this day and age. No, language matters, words matter, how you use your words matter, because it can impact people. So that's good. I really like that. I hope you'll join for more from Zip It, the 40-day challenge. I hope you enjoyed today's reading, and I will see you guys next time. God bless.